In this video, we're going to look at a very effective price action setup that I see happen a lot and is basically the basis of price action trading and how price action trading is done. And I wanted to make a video just focusing on this one setup because I see a lot of people come into the markets, and when they want to learn how to trade price action, they get very confused by all of the different setups. There are different time frames. So this setup focuses on one time frame, one process, and one type of entry. So with that being said, when you add all of those together, you'll be able to take this trade and then start to improve on it, right? And that's what's important, is once you understand this concept and how to take this setup, then you'll be able to improve on it, and then you can expand your price action trading. So that being said, let's get straight into this video. Welcome back, guys. Harry here, known as Trade Sharp. And as I said earlier, we're going to look at a very good setup that I see happen a lot in the markets, and it's basically going to help you guys start to get used to price action, type trading. And it's, one of the type of entries that I think is the best as a beginner, or even if you're not a beginner, as an advanced person, to be looking for these entries, because it happens often and it's a good confirmation, right? So as always, guys, if you would like to support the channel in a free and effective way, a like and subscribe always helps. If we can get this video to above 100 likes, that means a lot to me, and it really tells me that you guys are appreciating this free content. I really try hard to put out content that actually helps you guys, not put out useless stuff. So doing that really helps. Leave your comments, I always read them, and if you're new here, subscribing is great. Down below is also some groups. If you have some questions or struggling with something, you can join those groups for free and come and message me, and I'll reply in those groups. So feel free to do that. And yeah, let's get into this video and start off with what the actual strategy is going to be. Not strategy, but basically the setup, right? So setups are very important. When you develop a plan in trading, you always need to have, okay, what are you looking for in the market? What do you want to see, right? You have to trade what's in front of you, but you have to have zones and areas where you're going to execute on a trade, and you have to see candles form in a way that you want to form. See, the biggest problem that I see with people trading different types of strategies, I'm not going to name the type of strategies because there might be some hate, is that people look for price to go into certain zones. So they might say, okay, I'm going to wait for price to go into this zone, go above this high, and then I'm going to take a sell or a buy. The problem with that is that you might be waiting for a while, but when you trade price action, you can trade exactly what is in front of you and what you see. So this trading style is going to be society based off of trend trading. So the first step of this is going to be finding the trend. Now, I'm sure if you guys are watching this video, it should be pretty simple to find the trend. And if it's not simple to find this trend, I recommend you checking the video that I'm going to link above how to find your daily bias and trend. So for example, here, we can, of course, we have an uptrend and a downtrend, right? So this is your downtrend and that's your uptrend, like this, right? So this strategy is going to be involved with looking for entries based on this area that has been made. You see these areas that has been made, whether that's the day before, we're going to be looking for entries to tap into these areas if we're following an uptrend, and on a downtrend we're going to be looking to trade these areas here and trade these areas here. The reason why we don't want to sell the lows and buy the highs is because if you're getting involved in this area, this is where you're going to get a fake out most likely, and maybe continue down, even though it's respected your zone, but it might get a fake out. So the important thing about trading is not to buy and sell the highs, because you don't know if price can reach there or not. So if you're, it's like buying an all-time high. Didn't mean to do that. So if you're buying the all-time highs here, it's not really going to be a good idea, because you don't really know where price is going to go next, right? But if you've seen the day before, we've created some sort of structure, you can trade within that structure. So step number one is find the trend. Now this basically setup is only going to be using the 30-minute time frame. So, but in saying that, the 30-minute time frame is going to be for entry. So the entry requirement is going to be on the 30-minute time frame, but you have to know what's going on a daily time frame and so on, right? So if we take, for example, we're going to take this as an example here. We're going on the daily here, we're going obviously in a downtrend here. Price is creating lower highs, close bearish here. We can expect continuation towards the downside. 4-hour candles at that point also closing bearish in this area. As you can see, it's closing bearish below support. So a bearish candle means we should be also continuing downside. Now we have to look for an entry, and this is where I'm going to show you how we're going to look for an entry. So what we're going to do is when we come to the charts, you have to look for, okay, let's say as in this example, so we can show it live on the charts, we know that price is going down in the market, right? So if price is going down in the market, we have to look, let me mute this is annoying to everyone. But when we know that price is going down in the market, we have to look for an entry in this area. So what we do is that we have a move that's moved down in the market with clean candles. What's very important is we don't want messy candles. What I mean by clean candles, I have a detailed video called LTA. I'll link that up as well. But clean candles mean we want a move that has been done smoothly. So an example of a clean candle would be something like this. This is a smooth move. The reason why I want this is because price did not have any trouble. As you can see here, price, as you can see here, price moved clean up and we got the same clean move down. This is why I want to trade within this zone so I can catch clean moves. I don't want to be trading in here where I get all this inconsistency. You see the difference between this, and then the difference between this and then this, right? So you see the differences here. So that's why we want to be trading in those areas. And those areas, they're known, you can call it clean candles, LTAs, and it's also a high volume area because of how the prices move through those areas. So we also want to be trading close to a high volume session, right? So we want to be trading either close to London session, close to New York session, and Asian session, not so much, right? But it is the strategy still and the setup still works. It's not a strategy. I hate that word because there's no such thing as a strategy, but basically the setup works in those things. So once we establish we're in a downtrend, now we want to look for price to pop up like this and possibly give us some sort of range like this. So now we've established, okay, we have a support here and then we have a resistance here. Now we know that this area here, right? This area right here is going to be a clean candle area here because of this move. So what we wait for is we wait for a 30-minute candle, right? That's very important. A 30-minute candle. Once this range is established on a 30-minute, we wait for a 30-minute candle to close below this support, and the position will be taken like this short position. Your target will be the low here and your stop will go above the 30-minute candle, and that will be the trade. And hopefully, in theory, you should get the next move, hopefully in 1 or 2 candles to your take profit, right? And that's how the setup's going to work. Very simple setup. Same goes for the upside. But now the next key information about this type of setup is that whatever price, so when we had the example that we're in a range here, here's your support, here's your resistance, right? And then price obviously came down like this and popped up. This area of clean candles or LTA has to be made in the same day or the day before. This is what's very important. It needs to be recent structure, because if it's not recent structure, then you're gonna get the opportunity for price to give you fake outs or not give you the continuation. So you need to make sure that you are targeting, and the area where you're targeting is recent structure. That's what's very, very important here. So if we don't establish a range, sometimes price doesn't always establish a range, right? So this is the same setup, but sometimes what you will notice, again on the downtrend, is that we get just something like this, okay? Where we get a closure below here. But what we need to make sure is that whatever was here before needs to look something like that, right? So you can't be selling here and then this structure here is from 2 days ago. This has to be either on the same day or has to be made just in your session a couple of hours, a few 30-minute candles. So when you see a candle closure like this, closing below this support here on a 30-minute, then you can look to take price down like that. So to clear this all up, we're going to go look at this on the real charts and look at some examples here and see what we can populate, right? So let's see most recent so let's take this example. Obviously here the trend is bullish. Why is it bullish? 2 4-hour candles and a higher low here, right? Of course we're coming from a bearish, but we're looking at the most recent thing here, and I'm just taking what's happened this week, right? So then once that is established and we're in bullish structure with 4-hour candles closing bullish, right? This is bullish structure. You can see on the 30-minute, what is the structure? This is the structure like this, boom, boom, boom. And if I draw that next to it, what is that? Higher highs, higher lows. So we're bullish structure here. So where are we going to look for the setup? Well, remember we're on the 30-minute here. So what are you going to mark up? So we're going to come back and we're going to look at price all the way back from this zone here. So what we need is this is your support and this is your resistance all the way up here, right? Of course, at this time, price was more bearish than bullish, but as an example, I just want to show you in this area, and then we'll go look at different examples. But at this point here, we had 4-hour candle. That's the first 4-hour candle closing bullish. Then we had the next 4-hour candle closing bullish. So at this zone here, we had two 4-hour candles closing bullish, indicating we're in an uptrend. Now we're on the 30-minute, the entry time frame. This is now becoming our target here, all right? Our target is becoming this zone right here because this was made the day before, right? So your first target is going to be this resistance here. You can see how this is a clean area for price to go and enter. So what you're going to look for is you're going to look for price to close above this resistance. So we wait for price to close above. There's your closure above. There's your target. So what are you going to look to do? You're going to look to take the trade. And you're going to look stop loss below the 30-minute candle. This was high volume. You won't always have such big stop losses, but your target is going to be this resistance right here. So a 1 to 5 and a very simple way to trade the markets here. Now you look for high volume time and you look to take this to the next structure. So what happens? Hopefully we get it in one candle and boom, you get it in one candle to where your target, and what happens? It rejects at your target, right? And this is how you trade from zone to zone using a very simple one time frame and knowing your trend, right? Knowing the trend, trading with the trend and following based on your zone. So let's see what happens next, right? So this obviously creates a resistance. We get no closures above. With this rejection here, I'm not confident taking buys up here because I think we might get rejection, right? So obviously we start messing around here. And then we get this closure above here, but this doesn't make sense risk to reward. So we wait because we're waiting. So now we can see, okay, we wait. So now we get this closure here above this zone, but we don't have enough information. Your target can be really here, but your stop loss is too big. So that trade doesn't really make sense. Doesn't make sense. So let's go see another example, but that was a good trade in the beginning here. So now let's go and look for another example of where we can take a trade. So let's scroll back, maybe look for a bearish example or something where we can look for price, you know, to establish the same type of method. This is from the highs. Let's go on the 4-hour. Or you know what, let's do this. Let's make the chart like this and let's scroll like this to a random spot. Okay, that's a random spot, and let's go replay. So we know that this type of thing is not fake, right? I'm not just picking an example I want to see. All right, so we have no target. This is from very long before, right? So let's go on the 30-minute here. Let's see what information. Oops. All right, so good. We're obviously in an uptrend. Price is trending bullish. We have a resistance here on the 30 minutes. So I would need a closure above this area here. And my target will be here. Why? This is your resistance. This is your clean area. And if you get a closure above here, this was made the day before, you can look for price to hit that zone. So let's wait for a closure. And if, never mind, that looks like we had news here, as you can see. So that doesn't count, but let's continue. Let's go and let's do that again. I can't believe I pick with news. So let's go to somewhere here. There we go, random pick. So now let's go back test this. All right, so obviously we are in a nice uptrend, but what is the 4-hour telling us? 4-hour is bullish here, closing below. So we might see some more bearish reaction here. Let's go on 30-minute. So 30-minute has resistance here. Looks like we're more bearish, to be honest, based on, but what is daily saying? Daily is bearish. So I would expect more downside, to be honest. So I'd expect downside. So let's see what happens. We don't have, our zones are going to be above here because that's your most recent resistance to get to this zone. And yeah, let's see what ends up happening. If we reject here, there we go. You can see the rejections that's happened. So here's a closure above. You can look actually to take that trade, and hopefully with volume you should continue to the next zone at the top here. So there we go, we hit take profit and then comes back. So it in the one candle hit take profit and then rejected. So you would have got your trade and it would have worked very simply, and that would have been 9 pip stop and you got 16 pip target. So nice 2-hour easy trade, and then of course it reversed from there. But main point is it hit your target, so it's good to have those targets and where to take profit. I mean, your take profit would be here, but still hit it. And now let's continue price action and see what ends up happening. Yeah, that is a few examples of the type of setup. So it's very simple here. It's a very clean and easy setup. And yeah, I don't want to make this video too long. That's a few examples of the setup. So before I end this video, I want to just tell you guys that this setup is not by all means the end all be all. This won't make you the best trader in the world or anything. This is simply a simple way for you guys to start understanding how the market moves based on one time frame. So once you master the 30-minute, you'll find that actually there's better entry options on the lower time frames, such as 15 minutes. So if you looked at 15-minute, if you, instead of entering up here, why couldn't I have entered at this point here and put my stop loss and then take profit there? So you see how it starts to evolve and you get better and better entries. Then when you get even more advanced, you say, okay, this is a good support here. Now you can start moving to even lower time frames and you say, oh, look, fake out from this zone, rejection of the lows, 4-hour candles closing bullish. I can even get in from here, and you can then start targeting all the way up to this point here. So understand that this type of setup is not going to be the end all be all. There's ways to improve on it, but you have to understand how to trade this 30-minute setup before you start looking for these better entries. Because if you don't understand how the chart is moving on 30 minutes and can't follow a plan, you will just end up losing on the lower time frames because it becomes more complicated. Then you start blaming liquidity grabs, you start blaming the market maker, you start blaming people, but in fact it's just because you're not looking at the right zones. Playing on lower time frames requires more market experience, more skills, and more understanding of exactly where you are in the market. So I recommend you master this first. There will be a lot of opportunities where you miss the move. I mean, if you were to take this position, your stop loss is 66 pips. Can't take that, man. You can't take that. So you know, this is how it's going to be and this is how it is. So you'll have to master this first and then improve. But I wanted to make this video so that you guys could have something clear, something easy to start off in price action trading. So with that being said, take care, trade sharp, till next time. Peace.